So this morning, on behalf of the Board of Education, myself, all of our administrators, so many of our staff from all departments, our counselors, our social workers, our psychologists, the Youth Bureau and the staff here from the Youth Bureau, the Police Department and the staff here from the Police Department, and everyone, our Public Relations Committee, our Parent Council, we thank you again for being here this morning, and we hope that you find the morning to be informative and interesting. Let me just give you a list of reasons why I think the group pulled together, our District Public Relations Committee, and said we need to do this. Recent article in the news, teens seem casual on the topic of sex. From a study, teenagers' sexual behavior has gotten increasingly public and casual. How many people know what friends with benefits are? Well, you'll find out this morning, I think, in a couple of the sessions. How many people know what hooking up is? How many people know what random play is? These are all phrases, by the way, that students, the children today use understand. I don't know if they all use them, but they all understand what it means. Friends with benefits. Put on your ugliest thought, and I think you'll figure out what friends with benefits is all about. Prescription drugs. I can't tell you what the counselors and the social workers and the psychologists tell me. I can't believe it. What kids are doing today with glycerin patches. You'll learn some of that information. What they're doing with some of the time-release drugs that are in parents' cabinets. These are all reasons why we're here. Here's one for you if you have a pencil, and I know you do. MySpace.com. Some know about it, some monitor it. You take a look and make your own decision as a family. MySpace.com. Oh, and by the way, some people may think there's only public school kids or only public schools listed. I have news for everyone. This is a community-wide issue and a community-wide problem. There's another one I understand that's more prevalent at the college level, but will soon be at the high school level. It's Facebook.com. Facebook.com. So again, just some reasons why we're here today. These sessions are going to be very quick and move very, very fast. It gives me pleasure to introduce Daryl Janis. Daryl, come on up here. Daryl is with our tech department and administrator here in the school district, and will give you some interesting information as it relates to the internet.
The internet is a great thing, but there are some dangers. But there's 4 things that we try to attack. Cybersecurity, which you can see, I'm less concerned about that today because in a case like that, you're losing money. Someone gets your credit card, maybe there's going to be some expenditures. It's a problem, granted, but I wanted to spend my time on something that's probably the most precious thing. Personal safety, some of us know cyberbullying takes place on AOL Instant Messenger, back and forth. Plagiarism and theft of intellectual property has been around for years with technology, whether it was copying from a copy machine from an encyclopedia and writing it over, or now cutting and pasting from a browser in Internet Explorer. But I think the one thing that's most precious to us is we can replace credit cards. We can do that. But if your child is assaulted, raped, molested, murdered, that's not replaceable. So let's spend some time on that.
Over the last several years, the number of children targeted online for sex has risen into the thousands. Why are the numbers rising? Well, some clues may be found in this true life story of an online relationship that turned into a tragedy for everyone involved. Christina Long seemed like a happy, typical 13-year-old girl. She was a cheerleader, altar girl, and a 6th grade honor student at St. Peter's School in Danbury, Connecticut. After her parents divorced and her mother moved away, Christina came to live with her aunt, Shelley Riling. When Christina was 12, Shelley bought her a computer and felt secure, thinking her niece was safe at home online.
But then when she started staying up till 11 o'clock at night, and once on a Saturday she was at 12 midnight, I thought she was watching TV and she was on the computer, I got a little concerned.
On Friday nights, when she wasn't online, Christina liked to go to the mall with her friends. Shelley always picked her up promptly at 9. But when she arrived on the night of May 17th, there was no sign of Christina.
Waited, and in the first 10 minutes when she didn't show up, I was a little mad at her, because this was irresponsible. But then after 15 minutes went by, I started getting worried, and then after 30 minutes went by, I started getting very nervous, and by 9:45, my anxiety was sky high.
Shelley called the Danbury police, who initially suspected Christina was a runaway. The detective turned to her computer for clues about where she might have gone. At 6 a.m. the next morning, AOL finally gave him Christina's password. What he found surprised Shelley.
There was a message, and Dos Reyes was saying to her, "I'm sorry that I didn't wear a condom." And I was totally shocked to read that.
Christina's email revealed she had been seeing 24-year-old Saul Dos Reis, who lived with his wife in Greenwich, Connecticut. More importantly, she had plans to see him on May 17th, the night she disappeared. Danbury police arrested Dos Reis, and after intense questioning, he led them to a nearby neighborhood. There, lying face up in a stream, was Christina's body. She had been strangled. As a parent of 5 children, including 2 teenage girls, I know that the internet opens up an exciting world. But I also know it's safest if our children use it in moderation. With iSafe Education, youth empowerment, and especially with us parents as partners in their online experience, we can all help keep our kids safer on the internet.
92% of the parents that were surveyed by this company, iSafe, said that they have established rules for their children. Those same children who were interviewed said only 65% of us have rules on the internet. There's a gap of about 30% of agreement. 90% feel have a good idea, according to parents, of what their children are doing online. But when you ask the children the same question, only 2/3 of them say, "Yeah, my parents have a good idea of what I'm doing online."
We're talking about productivity, we're talking about cooperation, we're talking about social skills. There's sort of this continuum of those same expectations throughout kids' school careers. So
Into school, kind of the preparation that we do with our children before they even enter school in terms of the development of their social skills. And we had to be very careful about not making her the center of the world, I think it's different when you have other children where they have to compete and your attention can be more, your attention is not just focused on one child. It's very important that, we prepare them for those social skills of sharing and cooperation and being able to follow directions of adults and that kind of thing before they start school.
That's information on the other side. Check the signatures. You don't want it.
He won't be a good Thanksgiving dinner.
See? Good job.
Ready to go. Finished product.
The best thing that we know for helping these kinds of problems is what's called combination therapy. Going out of things, typically unusual. Usually, maybe it's just because of my position, but usually we look at treatment and help. Just having a good counselor, the fit, when we link a child up with a counselor, the fit is very important, the relationship. If the counselor and the student don't have a good relationship, you can't really do much. So that's why that's so important and really 50% of the battle. So a lot of times I'll tell parents if they're thinking of getting their kid linked up with treatment, shop around a little bit. There's good car mechanics and there's poor car mechanics, just like there's good therapists and there's poor therapists. So really I find that the relationship is important.
And I think you're
Yes.
getting in a lot of the, the pitfalls and the issues around bullying, which is huge these days, and it comes in so many different forms. I think your best protection is having that open line of communication. So when those things go on, you can figure out how to handle it. And when they don't want to talk about it, as a parent, you have to draw that line or set that expectation that we are going to talk about this. And the more guff you give me, it's going to make me try even harder, or maybe restrict you more. You're not going to leave this house until we talk about this. I'll give you some time and space. That's fine. If you don't want to talk about it now, I understand that. But later tonight, let's address this. You can think about it. I know you're kind of wound up about it right now. That's fine. Take some space, especially boys more than girls. Girls are more likely to sit down and talk and share and open it up quicker than a boy will.
It's like where the stars aren't always about what's going on. So then the kids pick up unhealthy kinds of ways. Other questions that people might have.
So you address it to your son or daughter that I'm concerned about your health. That for health reasons, we're going to eat more fruits and vegetables around here. Not, you need to lose weight, because then a person feels worse, or they feel bad.
Hygiene and appearance, I see it, I mainly notice it really changing girls, all right? Girls that aren't, had to be perfect, couldn't walk out of the house unless their hair was perfect, all of a sudden that's not important. So those violent outbursts aren't just, they are part of growing up. Violence obviously not acceptable, we got to learn to deal with our anger in a positive way. But because of the use of drugs, it's for stupid little things, all right? So, another thing to watch for.
But maybe the friends dramatically change. Friends dramatically get older, and all of a sudden, your kid wants to go downtown. What's up with that? Just be careful with that. As a parent, what are you going to get involved with? Sure. Yeah, well, exactly.
I think kids have to recognize the difference between telling and tattling. Tattling, you are really out to get somebody in trouble. Telling is trying to intervene with information to change the situation. So there's a big difference, and kids have to recognize that, so don't feel like they're being a rat. If they're saying, this kid's really bullying in a lot of situations, someone needs that information. Someone does need to be told with that. So I think that's important for kids to understand. Ignore the person that's doing it to you, okay? You just try to get away from that situation. Don't give them more attention, because a lot of times bullying is based upon kids' needs for attention. They get a lot of attention, a lot of prominence for being a bully, so you ignore them and try to walk away from that situation.
But if you're assertive and just express, hey, listen, you're giving me a hard time, I don't know why you're doing it, you need to stop, And then, of course, there's going to be the or else what. But again, you don't get into the threats. I think what Mr. Scipio is saying is here, none of these things is going to work 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
It might improve the situation by 2%, if you had to break down in percentages, but 2% is still better. And I'm a big believer that success is addictive. If a kid has a little bit of success one day with something, they are more likely to keep trying, as opposed to just sitting back and saying, this is hopeless, I can't do anything about it.
He's been in the Coast Guard, he's with the FBI, so they both know a whole lot, so we can get a lot of information from them. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Betsy. Folks, thank you very much for taking a few minutes here to come down and spend it with us. We'll kind of go through just a couple of points that we would like to present to you as far as legal issues are concerned, and then we would be more than happy to answer any questions in that you have. This is a little difficult session to structure because there is no black and white. What I tell you here is the middle, the muddled up middle, the gray area. I can't give you any definitive yeses and nos that you can do.
I just figure the more we're open and talk about it, the better.
Go ahead. In my family growing up, I had a younger sister here, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't a concerned parent. But there is a lot of that out, and that brings up a topic about knowing what the other kids are doing, or they say their parents are going to be home, or everybody's doing it. Those are things that we all face as parents. So, any more questions?
For so many years, it was sort of a generation thing, and you knew what to expect. And in the last 20 years, there's been so many changes, and the age of information, it's very difficult to keep up with it, no matter how careful you are.
We do have a supportive living program for kids that are 18 and over, and they can go into a supportive living environment and from there go into independent living. So we're teaching them all the skills that they need to live independently. But if they have to return home and there's no other option, sometimes we've even changed custody rights for children, and they have to go home, then when they go home, we make sure that as much as possible there is a support system in place for them until they are old enough to make the decisions on their own. But that is a problem. One of the things we want to do on the campus is open a group home for those under 18.
I want to know, are you in this fight with us? Are you in this fight? I mean, you're either in or you're out. I can get a little emotional about that. You're either in this or you're out. There's no riding the fence. You're either in the battle or you're not.